Trump's victimhood obsession, a nation at the mercy of one man's childhood trauma. How Trump's unresolved emotional wounds are destabilizing American democracy, by AZLAN ADNAN. Donald J. Trump, the twice impeached and twice elected president of the United States, is a man perpetually at war with the media, the deep state, the judicial system, and, most insistently, with reality itself. At the center of this chaos is a recurring motif: victimhood. Trump portrays himself not as a figure of immense privilege or unchecked power, but as a martyr besieged by invisible enemies. The question is not just political, it is psychological. What explains Trump's obsessive need to see himself as the aggrieved party, even while occupying the most powerful office in the world? The answer may lie less in his adult ambitions than in the shadowy corridors of childhood trauma and emotional neglect. The father wound, Fred Trump's cold empire. To understand Donald, one must begin with Fred Trump, an aloof, domineering father who reportedly prized toughness above all else. In the Trump household, emotional vulnerability was a liability. Young Donald, by many accounts, learned early that affection was conditional and love was transactional. His older brother, Fred Jr., crumbled under the weight of their father's rigid expectations, succumbing to alcoholism and dying young. Donald, by contrast, chose survival through performance. Fred Sr. didn't raise a son. He engineered a weapon. In this emotional vacuum, Donald learned to suppress shame, mask insecurity with bravado, and equate power with worth. But this came at a cost: the inability to grieve, to process loss, to internalize affection. These left Trump developmentally stunted in the emotional realm. Behind the facade of confidence lurked a desperate hunger for validation and a pathological fear of humiliation. The psychology of victimhood. Victimhood is not always weakness. In Trump's case, it is weaponized. As psychoanalyst Jennifer Freyd's theory of betrayal trauma suggests, those who suffer unacknowledged emotional injuries, especially in childhood, may develop distorted self-concepts. They reframe powerlessness as moral superiority, deflection as defense. Trump's self-perception as an eternal victim allows him to cast every critic as a persecutor, every investigation as a witch hunt, every failure as sabotage. This psychological frame serves multiple purposes. First, it absolves him of responsibility. If the game is always rigged, then he can never truly lose. Second, it cultivates loyalty among his base. By presenting himself as a victim of the same elites, systems, and institutions they distrust, he becomes a vessel for their own grievances. His pain mirrors theirs. His enemies become theirs too. But at its core, this is not strategic. It is compulsive. Trump doesn't simply use victimhood to manipulate others. He needs it to regulate his own fragile ego, narcissism, and the need for control. Trump exhibits traits consistent with what psychologists call malignant narcissism, a toxic blend of grandiosity, entitlement, paranoia, and aggression. Central to this pathology is a brittle sense of self that requires constant reinforcement and cannot tolerate contradiction. When the external world refuses to conform to the narcissist's inflated self-image, the psyche constructs elaborate defenses. One of the most powerful is the victim narrative. If the world is unfair, then the narcissist is not flawed, merely misunderstood. This helps preserve an illusion of invincibility while masking profound inner insecurity. This is why Trump is incapable of admitting error, why he lashes out at former allies as traitors, and why he rewrites history to cast himself as the wronged party, even when caught red-handed. The truth is not a fixed reality for Trump. It is an adaptive instrument designed to protect the ego. Infantilization as strategy and symptom. Trump's rhetoric often resembles the emotional range of a wounded child: name-calling, projection, and exaggerated claims of injustice. He is the boy who cried rigged, not because it is true, but because he cannot psychologically withstand the idea of not being adored. This infantilization is both a political strategy and a psychological symptom. It allows Trump to shirk the burdens of accountability while reinforcing a narrative of innocence. The child who was denied unconditional love by his father now demands it from an entire nation. America pays the price. The problem is not merely that Trump is emotionally damaged. The problem is that he is emotionally damaged and in charge. His personal trauma is now national policy. His need to be seen as a victim means that institutions, from the Justice Department to the press, are cast as villains even when they are simply doing their jobs. The rule of law is not respected. It is resented. Facts are not processed. They are flattened beneath grievance. In Trump's worldview, compromise is surrender, criticism is betrayal, and defeat is unthinkable. These are not the qualities of a statesman. They are the traits of someone fighting old battles on new ground, battles that were never resolved, only repressed. America is now governed not by constitutional principles or collective interest, but by the unresolved psychology of one man. National unity becomes collateral damage in his quest for vindication. Public trust is eroded by his war on reality. Polarization is deepened because every opponent must be an enemy, not a fellow citizen. This is the true cost of Trump's flawed personality. An entire nation dragged into the psychodrama of a wounded ego, made to dance to the rhythms of his rage, his fear, and his insatiable need to be wronged. America, it seems, is not just living with Trump. It is living inside his trauma. A heartfelt light. To every soul whose hand did give, you've helped me dream, helped me live. In darkest hours your light came through, with hearts so kind, so pure, so true. Your gifts, like stars in deepest night, have steered me gently toward the light. Each coin, each word, each silent prayer, a thread of hope, so rich, so rare. My eyes once dimmed now seek the skies, and slowly clearer visions rise. Because of you, I dare to see the world again, its grace, its plea. Your compassion's flame will not just stay with me alone. It lights the way for others wandering through despair to feel the warmth of selfless care. You've shown what love in action means, in quiet ways through giving scenes. You've built a bridge from soul to soul and made the broken feel more whole. So let this thanks rise like a song, a melody both soft and strong. May your example gently call more hearts to rise to give. To fall into the joy of lifting pain, of planting hope where none remains. Your kindness walks beside me still, a light, a love, a living will.
don't forget to hit that subscribe button to show your support.